Just connecting to YouTube right now.
Okay.
All right, we are connected. We are connected. And so I need to hit record. If you're ready, I'm ready, then we will get
I'm ready.
started.
I'm ready.
It says 6:57, but it is okay because you ready, I'm ready. Good evening, everyone. We are so excited here in the Sister Leaders community. We have another opportunity to get a little bit of this pre-conference, pre-show going on. And you've seen the promotions all the last few days. You know who we have on deck. We have none other than Lethia Owens. And so we are not going to hold her off too much longer. We're going to let her go ahead and get started. And so, Lethia Owens, welcome to the Sister Leaders community. This is our subject matter expert for this evening. The stage is yours.
Oh, welcome, 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 my beautiful sisters. I am so excited to be here with you today. We're going to be talking about three things that game-changing leaders do differently. And I think you're a game-changing leader because you're here, you're in the space. People who are committed to being excellent, people who are committed to being a game changer, they show up in rooms like this because they understand that a part of showing up is one of the first steps to being successful. So before we go too far, I want to take a moment and just make sure I define what I mean, excuse me, by the phrase game changer. Now, some of you may be thinking, wow, game changer. I don't know if I'm quite there yet, Lethia. Some of you may be thinking game changer. Yeah, that's me because I'm all that in a bag of chips. I see you. I see you. But oftentimes, when I talk about being a game changing leader, people will say to me, Lethia, but you don't understand. Like, I don't have a college education. I don't have this. I don't have that. I wasn't born into a rich family. So they think about all these things that they don't have that they feel like they can't use to help them make a difference. But being a game changer isn't just about where you come from. It's not just about your education. It's not just about your status and even your accomplishments. Being a game changer is a mindset. And people who have a game changing mindset are individuals who understand that they've not only been placed on this planet to do great things, but they've been placed on this planet to be a game changer for other people. And so being a game changer is not just about your accomplishments. Being a game changer is about doing things that set other people up for success. Because when you help enough other people become a game changer or even just change the game for them, then you will find yourself being elevated. You don't have to elevate yourself. Like their success will elevate you and you will become known for creating an organization of game changers. You'll be known for creating leaders everywhere you go. So whether you're a business owner, whether you are a corporate leader or professional, or maybe both, like, I used to be both at one point, right? Whether you're either of those or both, tonight is going to be for you because I'm going to talk about this mindset that leaders who are changing the game have. Now, if you weren't with me previously, I want to tell you a little bit about, just who I am and my background so that you understand the context that is around what I'm sharing with you. So I was a high school dropout. I have, started multiple successful companies and I have, kind of pulled myself up by my bootstraps and have ended up, going back to college or going back to school, going to college and creating a pretty successful life for myself. But I could not have done it were it not for people along the way who made decisions that changed the game for me. And I want to just talk a little bit about leaders who are game changers and how they show up every day in life. And I want to give you three things that they do differently that set them up for success and separate them or set them apart from everyone else. You see, we live in a day and age where you can no longer do what you did 5 years ago and think that it's going to create success for you, whether you're an entrepreneur or a professional. In the wisdom economy that we live in, we are now competing with machines that can do things faster than we can and do things that we can't even do. And so it's not about necessarily how much you know or the information that you hold and possess. It's about how you show up and who you are being. Who are you being in this world? Because who you are being is either attracting or repelling the opportunities that you desire. Because if who you are being is someone difficult to work with, someone who is just hard to get along with, like just working with you and interacting with you is just heavy and hard, guess what? You are repelling opportunities because no one wakes up and has a great opportunity and they say to themselves, oh, let me call the most negative person I know and make sure they know about this opportunity. That's not what happens. They're thinking about who is the person that I think most deserves this? Who is the person that I think will be a great fit for this because of their attitude, because of their mindset, because of how they show up, or who they are just being in the world? So you get to attract everything you need, every opportunity, every resource, every person and tool that you need to be phenomenally successful based on who you are being. And so are you being a sister leader? Because we know the game sister leaders are game changers, right? Are you being a person who realizes that a part of your purpose on this planet is not to be just self-sufficient and or self-serving? But I believe that we're all created with gifts and talents, not just for ourselves, but because it is part of a grander and bigger plan to take care of the needs of the planet. And so, who are you being, my sister? Who are you being, my friend? So, we're going to talk about if you want to elevate, if you want to step up to that next level. I believe that everybody has the next level of success, a next level that they can operate on. I don't care how good it is right now. I don't care what your title is. I don't care how much your company has earned. I believe that there is still yet more for you. There are more people to inspire. There are more things that you can do to make an impact in this world. There are people who are right now waiting on you to get clear about who you are and what you're called to do. And they're waiting on you to figure that all out so that you can then serve them because you have been created to be the solution to their problem. I believe that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how you can step into your next level of everything, success, meaning, and reputation. Step up into your next level, everything by following three things that game changing leaders do differently. So, one of the things that game changing leaders do differently is they understand that there are um, challenges that we face every day. But as you show up, whether it's at work or in your entrepreneurial career, they understand the need to leverage their strengths and manage their weaknesses, right? So let's talk a little bit about what that means. Have you ever noticed that you seem to become fixated on the one thing that you're not really good at? Have you noticed that sometimes we're focusing in on I'm not good at this. I need to make this better, and we focus in on our weakness, and we work hard to try to elevate that weakness. But unfortunately, our weakness will never ever become a strength. And so, as we're looking at how we're going to move forward, we need to learn to leverage our strengths and manage our weaknesses. Now, what I'm not saying is to ignore your weaknesses. game-changing leaders, they don't ignore their weakness, but they don't let it absorb all of their time. They don't become obsessed with their weaknesses. Instead, they focus more on their strengths, leveraging their strengths and making them even stronger because they realize that, and I learned this in a book called Now Discover Your Strengths, but they realize that when you focus on something you're already good at, that it could become something that you become great at. And reading that book, Now Discover My Strengths, saved my marriage because for a long time I was fixated on how do I make my marriage better by following what the world says are the norms, the role gender roles within a marriage, right? The husband is supposed to be doing this and the wife is supposed to do this. And by following, that prescription for what a marriage looked like, it almost killed us. Because there are certain things that I'm just better at than my husband, certain things that he's better at than washing clothes, for example. I think I may have done 5 loads of laundry in the last 32 years. He's better at it than I am. And I'm better at some other things than he is. And so, what we decided that we were going to do after reading that book, Now Discover Your Strengths, is we redefined what his role was going to be and what my role is going to be. And it's based on our strengths and it's not based on gender roles. So, I want you to think through that, for example. So, here's the deal. You can't ignore your weakness because, they can come back to bite you if you ignore them. And another thing is that you don't want to focus on your weakness so much that you tend to ignore the strengths that you have. And your strengths really are what's going to be the thing that makes you soar. And so it's really important for you to focus on getting even better at those strengths. So if you take Tiger Woods, for example, he's not focusing on like, how do I become a better cook? I need to cook dinner for my family. So he's not out taking classes and doing, chef work with chefs trying to become a better cook. He's working with a coach and he's working with specialists that are helping him perfect his swing, hit a little bit, more effectively. And when you take someone like Tiger and even Venus, Williams and Serena Williams, they could have focused on how to be better at some other thing in their life, but they put most of their energy into something that was a gift for them, something that they had natural talent in, and they made it a strength, a gift that could be used in the world, right? And so the key is spend most of your time working on your strengths, but manage your weaknesses so that they don't undermine the strengths that you have. One of the things that I think is really important is that when we think about, who we're showing up as in the world will tell us that we need to be these perfect, well-rounded people, but we don't, right? You're not going to be perfect and great at everything. If you have a circle and on that circle, you have communication, you have decision making, you have, creative thinking, you have um, other traits and other characteristics and even other skills. And if you were to do a self-analysis and self-rate yourself, you're going to find that you're going to be way out on a scale of 1 to 10. You're going to be way out at the 8, 7, 9 mark on some skills, and you're going to be way in the 1 to 3 mark on certain other skills. And so you're going to find yourself having more of, if it's a circle, you're going to find yourself kind of having this very, crazy looking shape that's not going to be a circle with perfect tens going around for all of the skills that you are, working through or that you're thinking through and assessing yourself on. So don't try to be perfect. Perfection is unattainable, and it's important that you focus on looking at what can you become great at because you already have natural skills and natural talent for. So I want to just, as I move on, I don't want to get to the end and then all of a sudden you're not clear, like, can I ask a question? So I want you to put questions in the chat if you have questions as I'm talking, because I may say something that really connects with you and you may feel like, oh man, I want her to talk more about this, or I want her to talk more about that. Put it in the chat. And when we get to the end, what I'll do is I'll go through and answer all of the questions that you put in the chat, and you can actually ask more questions as well. So as we continue, I want to just share with you another thing that uh, leaders who are game changers do differently is they understand that they have two voices that are constantly influencing them, right? Two voices. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by the fact that there are two voices? No, you don't have a challenge. No, you don't have some disorder or something that's causing you to go crazy. That's not what I'm talking about. But every day, you engage in an inner dialogue that has a significant impact on your thoughts and your decisions and your actions. And this dialogue is shaped by two powerful forces. Within your mind, you have both a saboteur and you have a sage. And understanding these forces is key to unlocking your potential and improving your happiness and enhancing your performance in every aspect of your life. So let me first talk about the saboteur, because a game-changing leader understands how to manage the saboteur. It's the voice of negativity. So the saboteur is this voice that speaks from the most primitive part of your brain, the brain stem, which is the limbic system, right? The brain stem and the limbic system, and it's connected to the left hemisphere of your brain. But this part of your brain is designed to protect you, ensuring your survival by keeping you alert to potential dangers, right? It motivates you through negative emotions such as fear and stress and anger and guilt, right? Shame and insecurity, all those negative feelings. And the saboteur's voice might say to you things like, you're not good enough. Don't do that. You might fail. Or they're going to judge you if you do that. Don't try that. And so the whole idea behind the saboteur's voice is to just try to keep you safe by causing you not to do anything that could potentially, cause you to gain attention or visibility or people to talk about you or people to notice you. But while the saboteur's intentions are rooted in protection, its methods are often determined by your well-being, and it feeds on your anxieties. It amplifies them until they overshadow your confidence and your creativity, and you don't really want to operate like that in life. This voice can lead to things like self-doubt, procrastination, and even burnout. And it begins to push, all of the wonderful and positive creativity that you could come to a situation with, and it begins to put you in what I call reactionary mode, because it's operating from a place of fear and stress. So it's important that, while the saboteur, wants to dominate your thinking and wants you to react rather than, be proactive, it's focusing on avoiding negative outcomes, right? It's focusing on trying to avoid those negative outcomes, and it's really trying to protect you and keep you safe. But there's another voice, the voice of positivity. It's called your sage. And what I love about this is that, in contrast, the sage represents the higher, more evolved part of your brain. The sage represents specifically the middle prefrontal cortex and the empathy circuitry that's located in the right side or the right hemisphere of your brain. So the sage motivates you through positive emotions such as empathy, curiosity, creativity, passion, and purpose, right? So those are the things that it's using to help keep you moving forward and help you gain momentum. The voice, this particular voice, the voice of the sage, encourages you to explore new possibilities and to connect deeply with other people and act with wisdom and compassion as you deal with people, right? The sage may whisper something to you like, you can handle this. You've got this. You can learn from this situation and experience. It may even ask you, how can you turn this challenge into an opportunity? So the sage is about helping you stretch, helping you grow, not allowing you to settle for the status quo. And the sage's influence leads to a mindset where obstacles are just seen as growth opportunities and mistakes are viewed as valuable lessons. So, this perspective fosters resilience, it fosters innovation and a deep sense of purpose. So, when you listen to your sage, you're more likely to engage with the world from a place of strength and optimism, from a place that enables you to perform at your best while maintaining your mental and emotional well being. So, managing your saboteur and leveraging your sage is a skill set that I want you to practice, growing and strengthening and developing, because game changing leaders have learned how to do this. The key to achieving lasting happiness and peak performance, it lies in learning to manage this negative voice while listening to the positive voice that's in your head, right? So this involves building what I call mental muscles and habits that allow you to really recognize when your saboteur is in control, and learning how to conscientiously shift so that you give focus to your sage. Okay, so where do you start? Like, how do you go about making this shift, right? The first thing is awareness. Like, the first step is becoming aware of when the saboteur's voice shows up. Like, notice when the negative emotions like fear or anger start to influence your thinking and your actions. Acknowledge the feeling and don't judge yourself. Like, just acknowledge the feeling, but don't let those feelings drive your actions. The next thing that you want to do is you want to shift to the sage, like shift your focus to the sage. So once you recognize that the saboteur is active and trying to control the situation, conscientiously shift your focus to the sage. Ask yourself, what would my sage say in this situation? What would my sage do in this situation? And let that voice guide your actions. The next thing that you want to do is practice. Excuse me. You want to practice like any skill. Strengthening your sage requires practice. So engage in activities that foster positive emotions, such as mindfulness and gratitude and creative thinking and creative exploration. Do things that give you space and give you an opportunity to stretch and to grow, and practice listening to the voice of the sage as you're doing this. The more you practice, I believe that the stronger your sage will become. So, by understanding and balancing these two inner voices, you can transform the way that you approach challenges, relationships, and even goals that you're setting for yourself. Embracing the wisdom of your sage and learning to tap into that and focus on that can bring you to a place of greater happiness, fulfillment, and even success in your life. So the third thing that game-changing leaders do differently is that they learn how to operate at what I call a high energy, or operate from a high energy place. Okay, so let's break this down. Hi, Wincy. Thank you for joining us tonight. I see your question and I'll answer it at the end. Okay, so game-changing leaders, like I said, they know how to operate from a place of high energy. So, what do I mean by that, right? Success is not just about knowledge, skills, or even experience. It's about energy. It's about energy, right? So, how you channel it, how you manage it, how you allow it to shape who you are and how you show up. My friend Myron Golden, he said to me something once. He shared a truth that resonated deeply with me. He said, in everything, excuse me, he says, everything is energy, and energy is neither created nor destroyed. it merely changes form. So understanding this, the reality and the science of energy was a game changer for me, because the energy that you bring to your role and to your business, it has a profound impact on your success. See, when you operate at a high energy frequency, you attract positivity, opportunity, and growth. But when you don't, you get something totally different, because high energy spaces are where creativity flourishes, where collaboration thrives, and challenges are met with resilience and innovation. So, this is where everything you want resides: promotions, recognition, fulfillment, impact, more business, right? Everything you want resides in the high energy space. So it's imperative that you learn how to get there and how to stay there. On the other hand, low energy vibrates at a much lower frequency. And this is where negativity, resistance, and even stagnation often show up. So when we allow ourselves to be pulled into this space, we find it difficult to see opportunities. We tend to focus on obstacles rather than solutions, and our potential is hindered by things like self-doubt, fear, and complacency. So low energy spaces are not conducive to growth. It is not where we want to hang out. They keep us anchored to mediocrity and dissatisfaction. So we are not going to live there, because we are a game changing leader, and we understand the powerful truth that we have the ability, like as a game changing leader, you have the ability to choose where your energy resides. Success isn't about avoiding low energy spaces altogether. That's impossible. But instead, it's about recognizing when you're in them and consciously shifting your energy to a higher level, a higher frequency. This skill, or this shift, is a skill that you can learn, it can be cultivated and strengthened over time. So if you find yourself operating at a low energy frequency frequently, don't worry, you have the ability to shift, and I'm going to tell you how to do that. So one of the ways that you do it, again, is one of the strategies that I shared previously, is the strategy of awareness. The first step is becoming aware of the fact that you are in a low energy space, or that you are operating at a low energy frequency. So pay attention to how you feel in different situations, around certain people, right? Do certain tasks, meetings, or interactions cause you to operate differently and feel differently? Like, do you feel drained or frustrated or uninspired in certain environments and situations? Also pay attention to what activities or conversations make you feel energized, excited, or even motivated, right? So, awareness allows you to identify the areas where your energy is low and where it is also high. So, awareness is that first step that I want you to pay attention to. Mindset is the second step that I want you to pay attention to. Adopting a mindset of abundance and positivity is absolutely important. High energy game changers, they see challenges as opportunities for growth, not as threats, right? That doesn't shake them, because they realize that even if things aren't going their way, they can turn it into an opportunity to get better, or to do something different, or to come up with a solution that they never would have thought of, right? They understand that failure is not something that dictates or identifies who they are. It's not their identity. It's not even a dead end, but it's a stepping stone to success, not like a barrier to success. So by shifting your mindset, you automatically raise your level of energy frequency, and you begin to attract positive outcomes. The third thing that I want you to think about is environment. Surround yourself with people and environments that resonate at a high frequency. You want people who are operating at a high energy frequency, and you want to engage with colleagues who are positive and who are supportive and forward thinking. You don't want to hang around people who are always thinking about the worst things that could happen. Seek out environments that inspire and energize you. And these environments will be full of high energy and high frequency individuals, so that you'll be able to like pull from them and leverage and glean from them as well. These are the workspaces that will help spark creativity. They will keep you motivated, and they will inspire you to continue to stretch and to grow. And last, I want to encourage you to think about the actions that you are going to take, right? So think about how taking deliberate action can help you really align with your with high energy principles. Think about how taking action and doing things that are positive and energizing can help you show up more positively and more powerfully. This could mean setting goals that excite you, pursuing projects that challenge you. One of the things that I did this past week is I started looking for a ceramic and pottery company near me, because I think just the idea of getting my hands a little dirty with the clay and being able to form and mold and shape and transform something that was a hunk of clay into something beautiful, it makes me excited. It makes me it gives me energy. So I know that that is something that I'm going to do, that's going to help me vibrate at a higher energy frequency, because I'm going to be using my creativity. I'm going to be doing something that's new. I'm going to do something that's making me happy, and through that I am going to be really nurturing my soul. And so I want you to take actions that ground you in positive energy. And by doing so, you're going to find that it's a powerful source for success. And it's a way for you to just maintain um, a life of gratitude, a life of fulfillment, a life of satisfaction, if you will. So, your energy, um, the energy that you bring to your professional life, it shapes your experiences and outcomes. And no one gets to choose how your life will matter. No one gets to choose, how you show up in the world. Only you get to choose how your life will matter. And so being conscious, or consciously choosing, to operate at that high energy frequency, um, allows you to create a space where success is not just possible, but it is inevitable. So embrace the power of energy, and watch how it transforms your journey within your company or within your business. And everything that you want and are waiting for is waiting for you in that high energy space. And so I want you to step into it and to claim it as your own and as part of your success. So as we think about, the things that I shared with you, tonight, I want you to unpack it, and I want you to begin to look at this idea of leveraging your strengths, this idea of being able to really manage the two voices that are happening in your head, and then choosing to operate at a higher frequency level. Like, look at those three things that game-changing leaders do differently, and decide, how are you going to use them? How are you going to apply them to help you show up and to be more powerfully? Game changers, I've shared with you three strategies. And so now you know what to do. Not only did I share a strategy, but I gave you practical steps. I'm a practical step kind of girl, right? So I gave you practical steps of things that you can do. You should have a playbook by now. You're a game changer. You should have a playbook tonight of what you can do to adopt this mindset and to do the things that I've shared with you tonight. But I will just share with you that game changers, they don't just learn things, they take action on what they've learned. They practice what they've learned. Kobe would not be Kobe Bryant. Michael wouldn't be Michael Jordan without the hours of practice that they have done in order to be ready on the court. Athletes will always tell you that the game isn't won on the court. Championships are won in practice. right? What you do in the off season, what you do in practice will shape whether or not you win. And so I've shared this information with you tonight, but what you do with it is going to make the difference between success and staying where you are. And even if you're successful, I want you to be satisfied with where you are, because I said there's always a next level for everyone. And there are people who are waiting on you to cultivate the gift that's within you so that they can leverage it and receive it, right? One of my favorite words is this word called leverage. And game changers, as they are applying, what they learned, they have strategies, but they're leveraging everything they know and everyone that they know and what they can do. And they're taking all of these things and they leverage them in order to be more successful. So, leverage is this word where it's not about just using what you have, but it's about leveraging what you have access to. And so, as you think about applying these principles and as you think about going up to your next level, when you come to the Sister Leaders Conference, because I believe that I'm going to see you there. And if you haven't registered, I encourage you to register today. You're going to get access to being up close and personal with some amazing speakers. Hey, I'm going to have my little notebook, my iPad, and my pencil, and I'm going to be, taking notes and learning as well. But when you come to a space like that and you come to the Sister Leaders Conference, it's important that you network and you show up as someone who is helpful, someone who is eager, someone who is passionate. And when you apply, what you're learning, you're going to just be a person who shows up in every space that you show up as more valuable. And that really is a big part of I think the game of success and winning in success. So when you come to the Sister Leaders Conference or any conference you go to, the next meeting that you go to, ask yourself, how can I leverage what I've learned tonight? Like, how can I learn what I've leveraged? How can I leverage what I've learned in the session with Lethia to apply it to help me be even more successful? Because people who are game changing leaders, like the founders of Uber and Airbnb, they took a problem that everybody else saw as a challenge and a problem, and they turned it into multi-billion-dollar organizations. For example, the founders of Airbnb, they were on a trip, and they were ticked off and frustrated by how expensive it was to get a hotel room. And they're like, we're just going to call our friend and just like sleep on his couch, right? And so they ended up hanging out with some people that they knew, and they were like, man, dude, you could rent your couch for, money, because people are paying X number of dollars in hotels. So they took a problem and they turned it into a solution that has now paid them billions. When you apply principles like the ones I've shared with you tonight, when you begin to shift your thinking and start showing up like a game-changing leader, challenges, you'll walk around, you'll love challenges because every challenge is an opportunity. So let me give you an example. I have the challenge of going to restaurants and constantly either receiving bad service. And if I'm talking to you in the chat, I want you to say, preach, hallelujah, praise the Lord, amen, yes, whatever you want to say to confirm what I'm saying. But I know that I go to restaurants and I am consistently experiencing either bad service or bad food. So I told my husband, I have a multi-million dollar, maybe even $1 billion idea. Now I'm gonna share it with you because I'm not scared to share it with you, as they would say in St. Louis. I'm not scared, right? I'm not scared. But here's the deal. I told my husband, I said, we could probably be overnight millionaires if we created a business where we had a directory similar to Grubhub, similar to the companies where you can go and order food. But in order to be listed on our site, you have to meet a minimum criteria for quality of your food and quality of your service. Meaning you only show up, like you get kicked off our list. If your ratings fall below a certain level, you don't even get shown on our list. Lethia Owens, I pay at least $100 a year to be a member of a service like that. right? And I'd probably pay $400 or $500 a year to be a member. I love eating out. I'm a foodie. I would probably pay five up to $500 a year to have access to a service that will guarantee me that the companies and the restaurants on this list are going to give me exceptional service. My food's going to be delivered exactly how I asked for it, and I'm going to get great service when I go there or when I order out from them. That is a multi-million dollar business, right? So when you look at frustration in your life, when you look at problems and when you look at challenges, when I see those, I go, ching, ching, there's an opportunity behind that challenge. Ching, ching, there is a solution that if I wanted to package it and sell it, I could probably make some dough, right? So don't look at challenges and problems as just these negative things. They are things that leaders know are things that could turn into amazing opportunities if they learn to leverage that challenge and turn it into an opportunity. So my message went a little bit faster than I had anticipated. I'm going to go ahead and open it up for questions. As I think of other things that I might share to add value, I'll share those. But we had a question early on, so I'm going to take a moment and answer that question. And if you have other questions, if any of the other listeners, if you have questions, just go ahead and put them in the chat, and I'll go ahead and entertain those. But we have a question that says, is the voice of the sage learned or is it mental genetics? I think that some people are born with a positive predisposition, and some people are born more pessimistic, right? But listening to the voice of the sage is something that I believe that can be cultivated. I believe all of us can learn how to do it. I've coached way too many people who, just by virtue of the environment that they grew up in or their natural bent. I think a lot of it is shaped, though, by the experiences that you had in your formidable years, my opinion. But when you look at positive psychology and when you look at neuroscience and so forth, this is something that you can unlearn. Like you can learn to listen to the voice of your sage more than you listen to the voice of your saboteur. And I remember working with someone, and we went out to lunch. And she said, while we were at lunch, she said, "You wouldn't happen to have any ketchup, would you? What do you notice about what I just shared? It's negative.
Yep.
You wouldn't happen to have any." Like she's already saying, I know you don't have any. I know I'm going to be disappointed.
Yep.
Like some people go up around in life expecting to be disappointed. And that's what she was saying. Instead, I say things like, Joe, thank you for coming back to our table. You know what would just make my meal so much more enjoyable is if I had ketchup. Would you please check and see if you have ketchup in the building? So now I'm letting him know that if he does this, he's going to make my day. I'm giving him an opportunity to just bring someone else joy because I'm letting him know that I expect there to be ketchup and I'm making the request, but I'm also telling him how it's going to make me feel, right? I expect to get the things that I ask for. Now, am I always told yes? No, I'm not. But I have trained myself. I've learned to cultivate the voice of the sage, and the voice of the sage tells me, it teaches me to expect that I will get what I ask for. That doesn't mean that I'm rude and demanding and I talk down to people and no, I don't have to be like that. Actually, I'm the opposite. I say things like, Melissa, I know that it may not be possible to get me, move me up to first class, but if you could check and see if you could upgrade me to first class and seat my husband and I together, I would so appreciate that. Now I know that that's something that only you could make happen. So if you could do it, I would be very grateful. Can you check for me? And then she's like, oh, sure, let me check for you. Now, it may sound like I started off with a negative, but what I was actually doing is I was letting her know that I know that she's in control. Because some people come up with their points and their miles and they're like, um, I'm Mrs. Owens, and I want to move up to first. Would you move me to first class? And I want you, it's like they're making their request like they deserve it. Like you have to give it to them. So when I'm making a request of someone who has the power to say no to something that can be done, I will sometimes start off what sounds like negative, but all I'm really doing is affirming that they have the power to either choose or not to choose to fulfill my request. So I think, Quincy, that we all have the opportunity to cultivate listening to and making the voice of our sage louder than our saboteur. And my husband is a born pessimist. Like I believe he was born pessimistic, or if he wasn't born, it was cultivated in him early at an early age. And we laugh about it because it is also the thing that creates the most strife in our relationship because I'm such a positive, optimistic, forward thinking, I even take risks kind of person. And my husband is a show me, like he's not trusting of people. Like he is just so different than I am. So it's the greatest source of contention, but it's also a big blessing because I say I will never get got traveling with that man because he is always watching everything. My husband makes sure every door is locked at the hotel. He makes sure our home is locked down. So it's like he may be a little pessimistic, but he's gonna keep us safe, right? And so I think even in that, there is an opportunity for me to leverage how he shows up in the world. He's not nearly as pessimistic as he used to be because of years of coaching and counseling and things like that. He has cultivated his sage and the more positive side of his personality. So I believe, Wincy, that it absolutely can be cultivated. I believe that it can absolutely be something that is learned and not something that you just have, that you're either born with or you don't have it, right? You have it or you don't, type of thing. Okay.
I love that. So I have questions. We had quite a few people who registered for this session, and so I know they're going to catch it on the replay. And so I have my own little questions
All
here,
right.
and so I have a few. So when you were talking about being in a high energy place, I am a person who's always in active listening mode. So I listen a lot more than I talk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gathering all the information. I'm the information gatherer, and I intentionally try to be the last person to speak in a room, so I can everything on the table. Um, that doesn't translate to be high energy per se, but I'm always positive. So when I hear high energy, sometimes I think about the uh, physical part that people associate with high energy. And I know I would never be the most animated, I would never be the loudest, but I am certainly one of the most positive people in the room. And so, can you talk a little bit about how high energy is not just the physical part of it, is the mindset part of it? Because you did mention mindset. And so I know I got that under wraps in terms of thinking positively. But because the world, when they hear high energy, they think animated and all of that. And so they may interpret one who's in active listening mode, but still 100% positive as being low energy. And I just want you to speak to that because it may be others who are like that, like myself.
Absolutely. So actually, when I talk about high energy and low energy, it has nothing to do with your physical. Even though you can have a high energy physical expression, like I am high energy physically, I talk with my hands, I'm really animated. That doesn't make me more effective. It gives me sometimes more visibility in a room. People may you may fade to black, Dr. Karen, because you're not really animated. You're not, doing a lot of things. I may, be the spotlight might be on me if I'm, the first to always talk or I am really animated. But you could say two things and it be more powerful than anything I said because of the energy with which you bring it. There are some people who are very high energy physically, but low energy frequency. So I'm talking about the frequency. There is energy is everything, right? Energy permeates throughout the air and throughout the space. And if have you ever heard someone say something and then you get goosebumps? That's energy. Like the power of how they said what they said, the positivity and the energy within it transferred to you, and your body felt it. So while being animated and being um, charismatic can be really helpful in some situations in business, there are people who are very low physical energy who are the most powerful people in the room. And so I'm not talking about the physical. And like when I'm talking to you about high energy, just take the physical out. That's a whole nother conversation about how to be charismatic, because I believe that people who naturally have a more calm, quiet demeanor can also be very charismatic, because charisma isn't just about energy, it is about how you move, right? And so I believe that you're a very charismatic person. When you talk, people want to listen. Like, even though you may not say much, but when you do talk, people go, wait, the whole room could be talking, but if you start talking, I bet people like they tune into now what you're saying, and they'll tune out the other conversations, because when you choose to speak, there is a lot of positivity and power in what you're saying. So I'm talking more frequency. I'm talking more the energy behind how you're showing up, and the not energy physically, but the energy frequency wise. When I say frequency, what I'm talking about is, when I say you show up with a high energy frequency, what I'm saying is you have the power to activate my brain. My brain becomes activated. My brain becomes drained when you have a low frequency. My body and my brain feel the burden and the heaviness, and they become drained when I'm operating with a person who has low frequency. It takes a lot more energy to listen to your whining and complaining and all of your problems, and you're not talking about solutions. You're only talking about, I quickly, within seconds, start tuning people out. If I realize, oh, low frequency, oh yeah, you can keep talking, but now I'm over here making my grocery list, and like, I may look like I'm here, but my brain is somewhere else, because I can't do it. Like, I don't have the capacity anymore, and I choose not to carry that energy, negative energy of other people. So people who have very negative energy, and I meet them and I'm trying to build a relationship with them, all of a sudden, when I figure that out, the calls get less, they get less frequent, and the interaction becomes, less frequent, and I pull myself back because I can't do those kinds of relationships. So this is all about your mindset, all about energetically how you show up in the world and what people feel from you when they're interacting with you. So if I make you feel positive or better, if I leave you feeling better every time we get together, you're like, man, I love talking to that woman. Every time I hang out with her, man, I enjoyed that. That's a person. I spent time with a high frequency person. If I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that call is over now, I feel like I need to go take a nap. That's a low frequency person. So it has nothing to do with energy physically or those things like that. But this is all about energy frequency, which is about how the brain responds to the energy that's being presented to it.
Thank you for that. That's what I was thinking. So that's wonderful. And so my last question before you wrap up and tell the community how they can stay in contact with you is the coexistence of the saboteur and the sage. Because I get from you that there is a place and there's a need for both. There's a need for both. You just can't waddle in the saboteur too long, because it will overpower your ability to see opportunities and different things like that. And so, how, with the coexistence of both, when an individual finds themselves, because their environment is so overwhelming, maybe it's a work situation or something, and they find themselves in a situation where they may think at that moment they're in that saboteur way of thinking that they're powerless at that moment because of the environment, and they haven't had opportunity to step out to move to the sage part of thinking. how do you make that transition when you're in that moment and you're overwhelmed temporarily by your environment, because of the maybe the authority part of where you are, particularly when you work for someone else, like in a business situation, in a corporate situation, in an employee and a boss situation, because some of the people here at Sister Leaders, they work in a business for someone else. And so they may feel at that moment powerless. And so they may have more of the saboteur way of thinking. And how do you help convert that to move towards the sage quickly so that it doesn't diminish the opportunity to see the positive in the situation so that they can quickly get out of it?
Yeah, I think one of the best ways to address that is having a 360 view of yourself and a 360 view of the situation. And one of the best ways to do that is to feel it out, think it out, and talk it out. And so what I mean by that is like feel the feelings, like be honest with yourself and try to assess the situation and feel and process why is the saboteur, like what is the saboteur saying to me, right? The saboteur is trying to protect me, so the saboteur is saying don't go for that promotion, like I mean don't apply for that job, that promotion, because they're not going to give it to you, because remember they said da 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 da, or last time they gave it to so and so and so and so, and if you don't get it, you know you're going to feel dejected, and everybody's going to know you did. Like the saboteur is trying to save you from the heartbreak of not getting the job, people knowing you applied and didn't, or whatever, right? So whatever the thing is in your environment, the saboteur is trying to keep you safe, but it also causes you to think negatively. And if you only listen to the saboteur's voice, then you're going to start thinking and acting negative. So when I say feel it out, like feel it, like don't hide it, don't try to stuff it, feel it. Like feel what the saboteur is saying. But then once you feel it, think it out and say, okay, I hear you, saboteur. I hear you. I hear what you're saying. You know, yeah, I could not get the job, and then people could know, and then people are going to say this, and they're going to talk, and so I feel you, and that could happen. But what's the worst that could happen? If that, like, do I care? Like, how much does it matter to me that people might know? And you start talking it out, and you start processing how you feel about what you're talking it out. I mean, what you're thinking it out. So as you think it out, like write down your notes of what you think and what you process. And after you've done that, go find one or more confidants who give great advice, and then talk it out with them. Because when you talk it out with them and you say, yeah, because if I apply and I don't get it and people will know, someone may say to you, and so do you really care? Like, will you let that stop you? And now all of a sudden, you're hearing the voice of a sage from outside yourself. So when we get wisdom from sages and people that have our best interest at heart and who are wise and have wisdom, we get an external sage speaking to us. So it's okay if our internal sage isn't loud enough at the moment because we haven't learned how to trust that voice yet or hear that voice yet. We can talk it out with other wise people and let their sage speak to us and help us process and take action and move forward based on the best advice that would be great for the situation that we're in. So that's what I would recommend for people who are in that situation.
I love that. Thank you for that. And I truly believe that sometimes you need to not just take your own counsel.
Yes.
Talk to someone else, and you might not be the best person to consult on your own situation. And so this has been wonderful. Again, I'm in student mode whenever I'm in your presence. I love, love, love it. I hope all of you took notes as well. Just go ahead and get your book together and bring it to the conference with you, because it's going to be more note taking there. We're going to be dropping some gems, some nuggets, whatever you want to call it. We are going to be in student mode and teacher mode. So we're going to be flipping the switch. The people who are speaking going to be in teacher mode. And then when we're sitting in the audience, we're going to be in student mode. And so we're all going to elevate and amplify our value. And I am so excited about the upcoming conference. But I know you got some other irons in the fire. And so I want you to talk to the community about how they can stay in contact with you, anything that they can support you with, and what is the best way to reach out to you and stay connected on social.
Absolutely. So you can find me everywhere. My website is lethiaowens.com. You see my name right here, right? Lethiaowens.com. And my handle on all my social media is also Lethia Owens. So you can find me everywhere under that handle. I just want to share, Dr. Karen, that the thing that I'm working on now is filling our Dubai Game Changers Mastermind Retreat. It's a 7-day Game Changers Mastermind Retreat. And we have a few spots left. So if any of your listeners just feel moved and realize that, wow, I would really love to continue learning and growing through the work that this person, me, shared, if they feel like that they really would like to take that to the next step, that's probably one of the best next steps to really experience quantum leaping your life and your business. So I would encourage them to just come to my website and click on Mastermind. And if it interests them, hit the apply button, and we'll be closing it out at the end of this month, September. So if you're listening to this after September, wah, wah, wah. But if you're listening to it before September, head over to my website. Thank you, Dr. Karen, for the opportunity to just pour into your community. And I believe so much in what you're doing, and just your commitment to helping people amplify their value is so needed, and it's so important because there are far too many people who are settling or operating below their full potential. And I believe that God created you as the solution.
Oh, thank you so much. And so this has been another powerful, powerful, powerful knowledge field. You have action steps, blueprint. You should have a blueprint on what to do. Everyone should have to-do lists here. And so this is the whole purpose. This is the purpose of these expert sessions, is to create a to-do list for us so that we can be better and operate in our lane of brilliance. And so I am excited. Thank you so much, Lethia Owens. Her full bio, of course, is attached to this video. And so we don't do a big closing, but I will be remiss, because this is before the conference, if I didn't plug the conference. And so if you have not already purchased your tickets, because we are 80% sold. So we are excited about that, and which means that we are on track to sell out, because there are a lot of people who buy at the last minute, and we think that's where the 20% is going to come in. But we are 80% sold, and so we speak into a sold out conference where we're going to learn from one another, and that is October 4th and 5th at the Rivers Casino in Portsmouth, Virginia. And look, we are not alienating our global community, because we are live and live stream. And we also have a virtual component of the conference as well. So we are doing it all, staying connected internationally, dropping gems internationally. You have no reason not to be connected, no reason whatsoever. And even if you think you can't, I suggest you check it out. Go up to sisterleadersconference.com, hit the register tab, and check it out, because I have made it where what you may think is a no is a yes. And that's all I'm going to say about that. I need you to take the steps that you need to take to inquire if you really want to do this thing. And so we're going to have a good, more women deserve to be seen more, heard more, and paid more. More. This is the year of the woman. I have said it. I have said it repeatedly. I really, really, really say it now. If you know what is going on within the nation, I don't need to break it down for you. And so this is an opportunity for us to pour in and elevate one another, for us to learn, for us to amplify our value in our business, in our career, for us to find new friends, new subject matter experts, so that we can take our business and take our career to the next level. Sisterleadersconference.com is where you want to check out everything. There's a tab for everything up there. And I am going to be adding a FAQ tab shortly on things to do around town, for you when you come into town, for those that are going to be here for a minute or two. And so I'm excited. Thank you, Lethia. We look forward to seeing you at the conference. And there is a great lineup. I'm not going to name them all. Just go to sisterleadersconference.com. There is a great lineup. I bring the best of the best. because that's who we need to learn from. Some of these people, you may not get this close, not without an invoice. And so you want to get up close and personal, and you want to document the gems that they're going to be dropping. And so good night, and I will see you at the conference. Bye. And